Just gravel turning into black water. You were walking ahead, but every time I called your name, the sound bent wrong came back as someone else's voice asking, why are you still missing?
Well, good morning, everybody. I know it has been a month of Sundays since I was last here doing a YouTube video on any topic whatsoever. And so I wanted to, weigh in and kind of get in on this terrible, terrible ongoing conversation related to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Isn't it crazy? I'm going to make an assumption, Team Doocy Doo 222, that you two were up all night long with JLR and 857 Tucson and Dolly. And oh my God, what is happening? Jennifer Lawton, do you know who else was up all night? Ashley Banfield. Ashley Banfield put out her podcast on this whole event at 4 a.m. this morning. Top of the morning to ya, Hoppy. Hey, Tennessee, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, this is wild. That is the most intelligent description I can give it, because I am absolutely struck dumb, speechless by the whole never-ending saga. So, like I said, I'm going to assume that those of us that are here this morning, we were all up all night, right? We saw how it all unfolded, the different side narratives in social media. It was really wild. Jennifer says I was listening to her on replay and came right over. Well, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. So JLR had 95,000 live viewers at 11 last night. That's wild, Kevin. Wild, right? This went on literally all night long. All night long. JLR was out there this morning with the sun. Like the sun goes up, JLR is back out there on the scene. Like he beat Fox News. He literally beat Arizona Channel 4. He was there first. He's not happy. Nobody's happy. This now turns into, and this is where I get it. This is where I get activated, right? I follow all these true crime stories right along with all the rest of you. I watch them. I know the details. I don't sit and make endless videos, one after another, unless there's something perplexing, unless there's something like a grand mystery, correct? The tragedy is horrible. I certainly go far away from anything that would be, like gory or anything like that. I guess you could say the realities of violent crime. But where I get really involved and I get really activated to make a comment is when there is that mystery, when there's that element that says, what is happening here? Things have now gotten very strange, right? Like if we go all the way back to the Chris Watts case, the thing that really activated me to even make a video in the first place was how there was this wave of victim blaming and victim shaming that started. And it took me by surprise. I'd never seen anything like that before. So for this one, I think last night activated me because now it's the question between, like with our law enforcement, what do we expect from them, and how much of our what do we want to say, our civil liberties, how much of our civil liberties are we willing to give up in an effort to, number one, first and foremost, to try to save this woman. And I know there's a lot of people that say that's probably not possible at this point. It's been too many days. I'm not going to be one of those to say it, but you know, the first consideration is just, where is Nancy Guthrie? Like, where is she? People don't disappear into thin air like Sebastian Rogers, right? People do not disappear into thin air. So we've got to find her one way or the other. We need to find her and know where she is. And of course, we're not going to accept vigilante justice in this country. So that is left up to the FBI and local law enforcement or state law. But at this point, we now have 2 homes that have been assaulted. The privacy, the constitutionally protected privacy has been breached. And last night it was breached by SWAT. Not a mild undertaking, right? So to know, you know, first of all, we get all caught up in it because we're watching JLR or whatever. We're kind of like on a ride along, correct? And everybody, there were 3 or 4 different addresses that were put out there for a potential SWAT. The only person that actually got it right was Brian Enton. I'm talking about the location. And you do have to ask yourself, is that by design? Like, has Brian Enton been able to befriend someone within the department? And they said, go park at this location, keep your lights off and don't say a word and don't tell anyone, or we're not going to give you any more information. And then he ends up actually inside the cordoned off barrier for, now I don't guess you'd call it barrier, boundary for this SWAT action. And what, make no mistake about it, y'all, it was actually a SWAT action. They actually went in and they confiscated cars. I believe the way that it was written was taken in for evidence. So they've got more cars now. I was going to see if I could show you. Hold on, I'm going to have to take this off. Hold on just 1 minute. They put out a photograph last night. Let me see if I can find it. Why isn't it coming up? I'm looking at it. It's right here. Your browser blocked your screen. I wonder why my browser. Oh, I think they changed the story. When they changed the story, no, here it is right here. Okay, I got the picture right here. Sorry that my screen refreshed. I'm just showing you a photograph off of Fox News. So hold on, I'm going to put it up right now. My apologies for being kind of fumbly fingers this morning. All right, so here it is right here. This is Fox News, okay? This is Fox News Digital, and they have posted this photograph. This is one of the people taken into custody last night. He's got his bracelets on. See the bracelets? There we go. So we have addresses where the raids occurred. We have this photograph. We have cars that have been taken in quotation marks, as evidence, we literally have enough on a national platform. There's enough of this man's face showing that the neighbors are going to know exactly who he is. Correct? And yet, listen to this. They're now saying this morning, unequivocally, no arrests. Okay, that is a certainty. No arrest. The other part of that is they've said there were people detained, which is different than being under arrest, correct? And, how long can you be detained in Arizona without charges? And so here's the fact. In Arizona, law enforcement can typically detain a person up to 48 hours after an arrest, and then they are forced to file formal charges or to release them. 48 hours, that's all they get. So what are we at? We're not even at 12 hours, you guys. So just because they've come out and they've said, we detained people, we've taken vehicles in, you can see the handcuffs clearly, you can see the guy's got a thick mustache clearly, okay? They still have more than a day and a half to hold these people, to question them. If they end up with formal charges, and that wouldn't happen until not tonight at 3 a.m., but Sunday at 3 a.m., right? If you don't get formal charges by, let's say, Monday morning, they're walking. Just because, and look, JLR is disheartened, I think. And I think it's relatable. I think if I was him, had been there all those hours, faithfully waiting, right? Driving across the country, and they've got you running around like a chicken with your head cut off, giving you all of these different addresses, knowing that all those journalists were being redirected. Okay, that's my opinion. I don't want to put out misinformation, okay? My opinion, they were directed away from the actual address where the SWAT would occur. They were I think that's only my thoughts, my opinion, okay? And I don't disagree with it because I think it's been a circus. I think the neighborhood where Annie Guthrie's house is, where Nancy Guthrie's house is, I think those neighborhoods have really, you would not be a happy camper if you were trying to live in those neighborhoods, right? Like it would be frustrating right now. And I know that the journalists are being polite, for the most of them are being polite, but it's just the number of people. It's like Christmas lights, right? When you get thousands of cars driving around your neighborhood, they're just wanting to enjoy the pretty sights. But if you live there, it gets really frustrating trying to get to your house or trying to leave your house, right? So want to be fair to everybody. I don't think there's a bad guy in the mix, point fingers at. But I do think if you're going to do a SWAT, like you're going to have two fully outfitted SWAT units at a home because you anticipate violence, you anticipate that serving your warrant could result in actual physical altercation of some manner. You don't want a bunch of citizens milling around that could take a gunshot from one of your officers, right? So I don't think they were doing that because they don't believe in, freedom of speech and the freedom of the press and all that. I think it was a matter of safety and keeping things orderly so no one gets hurt. But when you listen to JLR's live stream from this morning, and he was up there early, first one out there, or one of the first ones out there, and he's just frustrated. He's like, what is this? Here's the house. Here's the location where they did the SWAT activity last night, what they would consider a dynamic entry. Why isn't it cordoned off with crime tape? Why aren't they processing the house for evidence? What is happening? You supposedly have enough evidence that you can go and get a search warrant to detain people for questioning for 2 days. That search warrant is giving law enforcement the legal right to take your freedom for up to 2 days. Think about that. But you don't have a search warrant to go into a home? You don't have a search warrant to go into the house and look for DNA that Nancy at one time was there? What is that? This is now the second house that this has occurred. The first house, they literally broke the door in. And then the guy was released within hours. I'm talking about 2 hours, 3 hours. So, yes, local law enforcement has come out to say there are no arrests. As of today, this morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, there are no arrests. But no one of note that I found said that people were released. You see the difference? And then when you go and you check the law, they can hold these people for 3 days. I'm sorry, for 2 days, 48 hours, without formal charges. And then at the end of the 48 hours, they have to make the decision. Do we release this guy and let them and continue investigating them? Or are we ready to go to trial? Do we have enough evidence to go to trial, and let's go ahead and charge them? So it's kind of a game, right? And we've seen this before. The Barry Morphew case is an excellent example where it took them years to get their evidence together. And one arrest where the charges actually fell through because of the incompetence of the district attorney's office. So I don't know yet that these people have been released. I think this photograph of this one guy is sort of ominous, perhaps. But then you have to realize this is a part of the country where there's lots of people with heavily bearded, dark hair. Like it's the norm, not the exception in Arizona. Like I stand out like a sore thumb in Arizona with my kind of reddish blonde hair, right? Not a whole lot of people look like me compared to people with brunette, darker hair. So I don't know. I'm not. I think JLR is really gotten super frustrated. I don't think I'm to that point yet, but I am to this point. I'll tell you the point that I'm at that caused me to want to go ahead and make this statement this morning. I think it's pretty troublesome at this point that this is now the second house they have breached. So far, one house, the person was released outright within a couple hours. This go around, we're not sure if they've been released. The exact words of the sheriff is no arrest. Talking about the statement from this morning, no arrest, though 3 people have been detained. Now, to me, they could have said detained and released, and that's not what they said. They said detained, as in still detained, still being questioned, still trying to make a decision on what we're going to do going forward. So So that is interesting, correct? But I'm now beginning to get a little weirded out legally. I think if you are going to call in 2 fully decked out, um, SWAT units to breach a home, I think you probably wanna have evidence, don't you? Don't you think that's not really we don't really do the whole black booted Gestapo disappearing people in the middle of the night kind of antics in this country, or at least we shouldn't be doing that. I mean, we would hope that nobody's doing that. And and so you just feel weird. Now there's another factor here that I think is deeply troubling. Um, there was a lot of misinformation last night and in the early morning hours. For example, on one channel, that the person outright said, like these words were said, okay? They said, there have been 3 arrests. They're being charged with homicide without a body. Yeah, they said it. Brittany J., you can walk that back all day long. Everyone heard it. Your live was recorded. Anyone can hear it. You did. Your guest said it. You made no attempt whatsoever to tone that back, to walk it back, to quiet it. It was Lolly that said it in those definitive terms. 3 arrests. They're being charged with homicide without a body. Exact words that were used, okay? And then it was only perhaps, my guess, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I will go and clip the long live that recorded it so that y'all can hear it if you don't believe me. But it was about 10 minutes later, maybe 15 minutes. The people in the side chat were just yelling. They were saying, that is a lie. You're bald-faced lying to all these thousands of people in your channel. No, no one's been arrested. And there damn sure have been no charges whatsoever. Absolutely, certainly not homicide with no body. Good work of fiction there, Lolly. Never happened. And when the side chat began really kind of holding them to task and saying, you are putting fiction out there. That is absolute nothing even close to that is happening. Then they came out and said, oh, well, y'all can't hold us to that. This is news, breaking news, and it won't be able to be verified until tomorrow. Verified? You made it up, lady. You just told a bald-faced lie for nothing but views. That's it, nothing. And the channel owner, Brittany J., did nothing to correct the information. Nothing. So, it's very unfortunate because you have JLR who is there. He's there minute by minute as it unfolds. You have 857 Tucson, who actually lives there, y'all. He's there nearly around the clock. You have Brian Enton, who was he was the only one that somehow or another had the actual address and was actually there during the SWAT raid. Okay? So, exactly, Vicki. SWAT have their own radio frequency away from the public police channels. You are not going to catch SWAT action on a Broadcastify. You are not. So I think you have to be super careful and be discerning, especially in this case with Nancy Guthrie. We've got to be really careful about what's being said and done. There are people, this guy right here, his face is all over Fox News. We need to be real careful about the things that are being said. Basically, Lolly and Brittany J announced to thousands of people last night that this guy was arrested for homicide with no body, that this guy is the one that is responsible for the biggest crime case maybe in the past 5 years since Chris Watts' case. Okay? No, they made it up, and then they said you can't hold us responsible because we can't get verification. It's news breaking. No, there was no initial reason to say that. It never happened. It was a complete figment of their imagination. So, please maybe go to JLR and listen. Maybe go to 857 Tucson, a great channel. I've been watching that. Maybe less active chat so you can kind of follow conversations, right? So look, you can get the proper information without all the nonsense. There is another event that happened last night that I find really strange. And I went to several of the AI machines this morning. Chat GPT. I have a subscription to Gemini. Went to Gemini, Grok, to try to find out about this supposed shooting. Now, most of us are aware of this potential shooting that happened because of Dolly, correct? Apparently, Dolly was witness. I'm being really hesitating to say this because I didn't watch it when it happened. I was watching JLR. Later, people came in and said that Dolly actually witnessed this man in a Range Rover end his life. Okay? The stories that were coming out of side chat, and again, I've just given you one story that came out of a big channel that was just BS, like total fiction. So I'm a little hesitant to talk about this because I'm not sure how it actually unfolded with Dolly, but I went to these AI machines trying to verify if there was in fact a shooting, a fourth individual to be detained. Is that even true to begin with? And did he in fact actually end his life in a traffic stop? Like, how much of this is real? How much of it is not real? So let me give you a compilation of what Gemini, ChatGPT, and Grok came up with. And I said, only report credible sources, right? That's all I wanted was just the credible sources. Here's what it is. The Pima County Sheriff's Department confirmed a SWAT operation that included search warrant execution, road blockades, and the involvement of the FBI forensic teams that took place in the Shadow Hills neighborhood near East Placenta de Graciela and East Camino de Michael, approximately 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. 2 miles, y'all, in the same neighborhood, really. Not the same subdivision, but that's, within walking distance. The Pima County Sheriff's Department explicitly linked the ongoing investigation with the SWAT operation. Okay. They said 3 people were detained, and this was verified by News Nation, Fox News, News 4 Tucson. Like, there's a whole list of people, that reputable journalist that said it was real. They said there were 2 people that were taken into custody, a man and a woman. Some believe that it's a mother and son, and I have no idea if the photograph they're showing is the son. I had no idea. They gave no like ages, nothing like that. These two individuals were ordered out of the targeted residence. Yeah, because they were surrounded by SWAT and they were taken into custody. There was a third person detained during a related traffic stop. This involved a gray Range Rover that was towed, was seized, and this important, parts were recovered during evidence processing. You know what that means? That means that they took stuff off of the Range Rover and processed it as evidence. So there are parts of this $150,000 SUV sitting in the evidence vault right now waiting for a trial. Okay? Now then, here's where things kind of get weird. But again, this is only Sheriff, Fox News, Tucson 4, just news journalist. A witness in Shadow Hills, this was a neighbor, told News 4 Tucson, which is a local NBC affiliate, she observed 3 detentions and she saw a 4th person end his life there at the house, according to News 4. Not in the traffic stop where the Range Rover was taken into custody. You see the difference? You see how these stories morph and sort of take on a life of their own through our social, parasocial conversations, right? So let me be very clear again, because I think this is a huge part of the story. A neighbor in Shadow Hills told News 4 Tucson, an NBC affiliate, she saw 3 people detained. One person apparently tried to run, ended up ending his own life with SWAT during the operation, everybody there. This account has now been reported in the Irish Star, the Daily Mail, social media summaries, that kind of thing. Okay, now then, other reports describe the 4th individual was a part of a traffic stop that involved a white van. That a white van was fleeing the scene. The suicide has been described, but is unconfirmed by official authorities. So we're kind of still waiting on that, right? Officials this morning have been really, really quiet. They are only talking about, they're using terms like active investigation. They did say the FBI has made a request for no press conference. FBI says, no, we're not talking. We're not ready to talk. We're not going to talk. Please, you guys don't talk either. And apparently the sheriff is working with the FBI because they had planned a press conference. FBI said, please don't do this. We don't need a press conference. We don't even know what's going on yet. And sheriff said, good deal. We won't do it. Okay. He did an interview with Brian Enton. That was great. It was wonderful, where he reassured the people of Tucson and Arizona that he does in fact work with the FBI, that he is working with the FBI, and that they're working cooperatively together. So I don't know if that's much ado about nothing, or if they're trying to walk back what really was sour grapes, and nobody should care. Here's the truth, okay? You get a bunch of well-educated, highly qualified, highly experienced people together working on a single problem, you will have disagreements. That does happen. And you will have personality conflicts. It's just the nature of mammals. It's how we are. But guess what? All of those competent, well educated people, they continue to be professionals. They all know how to do their job. They have the ability to put their personal feelings aside for the professional job that they are required to fulfill in an ethical manner. So, sheriff is on record, camera in his face, saying, look, we are working with FBI. FBI is working with us. We are all in this together to find Nancy Gutthrie. Okay. All right. So they're very limited in comments. They're using buzzwords instead of actually delivering new information. And we know the FBI said, please do not do a press conference. There was a written update, which, you know how controlled those are, right? You can edit, re-edit, and edit again until your written update says nothing. Okay. So there's that. The reported suicide is directly linked by witness accounts and secondary reporting to this with the Channel 4 to the same SWAT operation and location, and that is the residence about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. No official confirmation that has named the deceased. No official confirmation on charges. And let's see. No, there's been no official confirmation that any person that has been detained matches the FBI's suspect description, which would be a male, 5'9" to 5'10", average build, who owns or wears a black Ozark Trail backpack that is sold in every Walmart across the country. But you know what is not sold in every Walmart across the country? I'll tell you. A baklava that has eyes and mouth holes. That is not sold in every Walmart. You're not going to find one of those baklavas in the Walmart in Orlando. Okay? You're just not. However, being in Colorado, I can go to the smallest, tiniest, most obscure gas station right down the road and walk in there, and there will be baklavas on the wall to purchase year round. So, depending on the climate that Walmart's in, that will determine whether it's being sold or not. So, I do think that it is, it's pretty common to see these face knit caps that have the eye holes in them but no mouth. That's a pretty common sight. And yeah, there are some that do have the mouth. That some do, but I wouldn't even be willing to say if it's half of them. I think it always looks eerie to me when I see the ones that have like the eyes and the mouth. That always looks a little kind of scary to me. So I kind of notice it when I see it. It's probably not there's probably more that are just eyes only, you know. For one thing, when you exhale, the condensation from your warm body freezes in certain temperatures. It's really common to see men with mustaches and beards that have icicles hanging off if they've been up like snow skiing. That's not unusual. Like if you go into the ski lodge or whatever. So, so yeah, you're not going to find those being sold in Tucson, Arizona at the local Walmart. That's not going to be sold there. But the backpacks, they're all over. They're all over in every Walmart there is. Those are Ozark Trails is their name brand. Something you grab at the gas station in Fargo, Minnesota. Exactly, cinnamon. Right, everywhere. And it won't matter if it's July, they'll still be there. and they never put them on sale. So, Okay, so yeah, so I feel bad for JLR, and he's just he's just put out. He's kind of like John Smith. He's weary of it, and he's ready for it for somebody to do something real, right? So to give you an idea, if you haven't been watching JLR, let me this was JLR stream this morning. If it's gonna go. He is very irritated by this whole situation. And you can't blame him. He drove all the way from Florida. He's
I'll take you around the neighborhood. There's no police around here. There's nobody. What the heck's going on here? No, it's not the wrong house. It is the correct house.
So he's really, thank you, Cinnamon, for putting up the link to JLR. Appreciate that. Also, we need a link to 857 Tucson. He is doing really great work. If you can look him up and put his link up too, it's good. So JLR is irritated. Come on, man.
It's 100% the correct house. There's no police anywhere in this neighborhood. That's the house on the left. There was conflicting things that was on the other side yesterday, but it wasn't. It ended up being on this side.
Koopy, like it was crazy.
Cul-de-sac in the neighborhood. I'll take you to up where I was last night at the staging ground. The heck is going on here, folks? We're back to square one.
2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house.
Back to square one.
You can hear the irritation in his voice.
I am with Floor.
Yeah, your guy. I don't know if your people are down there, but they're down there by the house. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, another journalist came in. There's another journalist. Journalists are all going. Let's go see what the journalists are doing.
I mean, the reporters have turned
let me
into
just go up here real quick. This is up here is where.
Thank you, Cinnamon. This is wild, y'all. This is so wild.
Oh, dude, we're back to square one.
All right. So you can hear just the frustration, right? He's just frustrated.
This is where we all were up.
Let me show you something else from his channel as well. I think it was him. Maybe it was 857 I was watching. Let me look. This was this it? I don't
read somewhere going on connected to Nancy Gutthrie. JLR Investigates. We're in a development here, kind of on using this as a staging ground.
This is from last
what's
time.
going on. Come on in. Come on in, folks. We're back. Lost reception before. We are in an area. Marana.
Thank you.
Possibly related to Nancy Gutthrie. Come on back.
9835 North Moon Canyon Place, 9900.
So media outlets are now reporting, right, that it's connected.
It is connected.
It is connected. We just don't know where right now.
And he's in 857 Tucson is in the truck with JLR. So that's who you hear talking. But it's wild because if you go back and you watch this whole thing, Dolly comes up and says, "Hey, JLR," and they talk for a minute. He's got people just coming up and saying, "Hey, are you JLR?" Like the man is famous, okay, for a lot of things. The thing I couldn't get over last night is the how do I say it? Carnival atmosphere. Is that a good way? Those of you that were watching, would you use the phrase a carnival atmosphere? Like people were walking the streets and they were excited seeing each other and laughing, and it was like it looked like Halloween, to tell you the truth. If you had had your sound turned off and not be able to hear the conversation, the number of cars driving around in this neighborhood, the people stopping to chat and talk and smiling, you would have said, "This is Halloween." Like they're trick or treating. It was amazing to see. So as I was watching this, and on the one hand, I was like super happy for JLR that all these people, were introducing themselves and they were so excited to meet him, like he's a celebrity. That was really kind of nice to see a citizen journalist being treated with respect was really good to see. Um, it also made me think, well, imagine if this was happening where the real SWAT was taking place, right? Imagine you've got two full outfits of two full SWAT teams with any manner of firepower trying to take people in for questioning. You got a guy running around with a pistol. Can you imagine if all of this circus had been happening in that same neighborhood? It could have been a complete disaster for the sheriff and the FBI. It could have been a nightmare. So, did they intentionally direct all of these people to the other side of town for their own safety? Possibly. Like I would be grateful if they did, if it came out that they did. Because I don't know how you would have done your job as a law enforcement officer with all of it. So I'm going to quit talking for a minute and try to go forward and let you see the parts I'm talking about where things got so social.
And we're just kind of like in a neighborhood here waiting.
Where it is, right? Okay, this guy's promising me, so we'll
Promising you what? Here?
That's where he's saying. See how far that is.
And it never rains like this in Tucson,
by,
apparently, and it was raining cats and dogs last night while all this was going on.
Pasita, because that first.
These are not residents. These are just people looking for the SWAT vehicles. Oh my God, it was so wild.
The SWAT could be rolling in here on this street.
People say media is swarming a neighborhood in Marana, Arizona, but no sight of SWAT. Media is swarming a neighborhood in Marana, Arizona. That's where we are. But no sign of SWAT. There are claims police pinged the suspect's phone in that location. Did the unidentified DNA in Nancy's home match a known felon?
But you see how Broadcast
I'm checking all the messages.
is given all these addresses. They were what the media was running from address to address.
North Park Avenue, 2000 North and 900 East. Respond on 83 North.
And
You
here,
want to pull that address up and see how far that is?
or
Someone said that's where you might be.
yeah, but that looks like what's that called?
Just see how far it is.
All right, hold on.
It's on the other side of town.
And we're like,
I'm just at a loss of
you
words
guys on the
here.
way home. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god,
Look at
what
this.
are they
They're just
doing
all
out there?
parked.
Yeah,
They're
we're
just all
like so
parked.
close.
They're all parked.
By the health
There's
center.
there's
Oh
people
yeah,
just
we were
parked
out
everywhere.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went out there to see what was going on, and then you guys moved out this way, so we're like, okay, we're going.
Yeah,
Everyone
this
wants
has
to
been
know.
day 13, so hopefully tonight we'll get some closure. Nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, you guys do.
Thank you.
Send me any information in Tucson.
Where
if
did the
you guys
SWAT
ever
go
have
though?
anything,
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is
accidents,
Absolutely,
you
yeah.
know, anything
Absolutely.
positive.
Yeah.
Share your businesses.
I've been. Oh yeah, I have a.
Where is the
business in
SWAT?
Ohio Valley, yeah. I have
Send
a-
me
I
a
will.
message
I
and I'll share it.
I will. Okay.
Nice.
All right. So that was a little picture of how wild things got last night. I wouldn't be surprised if local judges put in orders for designated no loitering streets like baby Quentin Simons did. But I guess you wouldn't want to do that during a distraction, right? Yeah. JLR will get stuck on a sentence and say it 4 times in a row. I don't know. I don't know. 14 days. Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped, taken against her will from her home. Where is she? And can she still be alive? The whole case is so strange. Yeah, there. Yeah, I don't want to. I'm trying not to be, I guess, judgmental. You know, like one of my. Here's the other thing I would say. Like, it's really great to see all of this firepower, all of this investigative man hours put into the case, right? I think that's great. But shouldn't we do that with every missing person, or is it only the missing people where they have a famous family member? Do you know what I mean? I, I'm not gonna get all like social justice warrior on you or anything like that. Maybe a happy medium. Like, I know money does buy access and money buys, you know, service, but something like public safety is funded by the government. It's public. Maybe we could do a little more in these missing kids cases, maybe. Or when, you have a case like Suzanne Morphew, um, that search was all volunteer. It was all volunteer. And if the FBI had been involved, you wouldn't have had Linda Stanley destroy the case, right? I just think I think there might be like a happy medium that you might be able to get to. Um, but who am I? I'm just a psychologist. I don't know. I don't know these things. Okay. Last thing I want to really talk about, this ongoing discussion between, is this a kidnapping? Is this a voluntary disappearance? Is this a homicide or foul play? Okay. I thought this was an interesting infographic that came up. I will tell you, Gemini made it for me. I asked for a compare and contrast between these 3 conditions, using only the known facts. Okay. And so these are some of the things that it spit out. And I think, hands down, when you go through the list of voluntary disappearance, it is really easy to see. There is, whoops, I'm so sorry. Is it sharing? Yeah, you can see it. Okay. It's easy to see this is not a voluntary disappearance. Okay. Even though you've got that condition of no ransom, you also, or no contact, you also get that in the homicide column as well. So there are some things I think, the grayed out voluntary disappearance, it's not likely that. So that's left with, is this kidnapping? Is this a homicide? The reality, the truth is it's probably both. But I think there's still a lot of people that want to make that discernment between the two. So if it was a kidnapping, then you would expect to see tire marks near the road. And they, in fact, do have that. It did come out that they did, in fact, find tire marks that didn't match the vehicles that are normally in that area. Personal items found hidden. See, I thought this was super interesting because we didn't really see that being reported on, did we? But what we did hear was that the ransom note that was received, I think by Tucson 4, I think they said that there was information contained in the note to prove that the person was there. So does that mean, is that how they verified that this was actually a kidnapping? Because the ransom note said, hey, I took this from Nancy Guthrie and buried it underneath the Talavera planter by the Joshua tree, right? And then they go out there in the backyard and they dig it up and there it is. So now they know, okay, this is probably real. Okay. So, but that hadn't been reported on. That's me reading into this so-called verified facts as reported by Gemini. A dark SUV that was seen nearby, and we have seen law enforcement in the previous two SWAT operation last night, interdiction from the few nights ago with Carlos. They are focusing on SUVs. So that must be. Here's something else I didn't hear. A witness heard a shout. I've never heard that being reported. Have y'all? So I think that was interesting. And then, police have been outwardly saying there is suspicious circumstances without a doubt. And in fact, they even said the family arrived and it didn't take them very long to realize something was very wrong and they called 911 very quickly. The column for homicide and foul play, lack of communication or request for finances. It's very interesting that she goes missing and then it's like more than a day later before you get a ransom contact. Really, really interesting. Most people think of, we take the person, we leave a note in exchange, right? And if you're the kidnapper, haven't you thought it out how you're going to get your money? Like, aren't you, before you ever take the person, you already know how you're going to conceal and hide your identity as you get your money. It's usually like unmarked bills, not Bitcoin that will leave a internet trail. So kind of iffy on that point. Items might have been planted as a diversion. So maybe that item that they said proves I was here and I stole your loved one. Maybe a killer says, I'm going to set this up like a kidnapping so they won't be looking at me. So maybe. Has there been diversion? Have law enforcement been misled by potentially guilty parties? And apparently they have been. The forensics would suggest that someone is trying to conceal the truth. Is there evidence of a violent encounter? Sure. The Nancy Guthrie's blood on the front porch, as well as the walkway away from the porch or into the house. We don't know which one happened first, whether she was leaving or going in when she was bleeding. but it's there and it's quite a bit, and there's spray, which would suggest maybe that was the point of injury, right? Um, and then, police have just said, considering all the different angles, we fear the worst. Considering all the different angles, this looks like a bad deal. And we're going to hope that she is okay and we are able to rescue her, and that's how we're proceeding. But I most people feel like it's been now so much time that maybe it's, not likely that she's okay. But look, if the kidnappers are people that plan this out, then they would have known we need to get her heart medication. If she dies, we don't get any money. So we need her medications. So those types of medications are easily attained in a pharmacy in Mexico. The doctors are actually in the pharmacy. You go in, talk to the doctor, they give you medication. So, yeah, to make a long story short, I think it still looks pretty bad. The overall situation looks bad. I hope that I am wrong, and that is that. What? So now this is the part where I quit talking and you guys start talking. What are your opinions on this whole thing? And how do you feel about what happened last night? And do you feel like they're going to be able to recover her safely? Or do you feel like things might not go well? And we'll put up a happy Valentine's visual, even though this is a very, very tragic and unhappy reality. The topic today is very sad, very, very sad. What do y'all think? I thought for sure last night that it was legit. How are you feeling this morning, though, Ginger? Oh, yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Hey, Karen Alberini, how are you? Welcome back. No opinion now? Yeah, I don't know. Again, remember what I said all the way at the beginning of this? Arizona can hold you for 48 hours. Arizona can hold you for 48 hours. They're not even 10 hours in. So this just because there's not been any arrests this morning, that doesn't mean it's not going to come, right? And I think Martin is exactly right. The note said, do not involve law enforcement. The problem is the note came a day after she went missing. Well, 911 was already called. So was the kidnapping an afterthought? Is it possible that for some reason there was an accident, she accidentally passed away, and whomever was there when she passed away got scared and said, let's cover this up by making it a fake kidnapping? I don't know. I, 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 don't know. I've never seen anything so unusual. I don't know. I was all into it and then got annoyed with the spoon fed information coming from law enforcement. It has been spoon fed in a ridiculous way. I personally don't think that the sheriff should be the one making the statements. I think he needs to have a police information officer, and that everything ought to be coming out of that department should be controlled. He just kind of talks, and I think he gets real emotional. And boy, yeah, his things have been weird listening to his press conferences. I don't know. I already read that one. I was shocked by the news when I woke up. Yeah, everybody is like, you took two SWAT units to people's private home. You take apparently the whole family into custody, except for the one guy that offs himself, ends his life, and you don't even like cordon off the. Why would Here's a question. If the guy offs himself during the arrest, why isn't crime scene tape up around the house? Wouldn't you have to investigate the fact that he ended his life while SWAT was on the grounds? We have other people. Dolly claimed that he drove past the Range Rover in the traffic stop and that he saw the guy who had passed away. But the neighbor, the eyewitness, says, no, the person didn't kill themselves in the traffic stop. The person killed themselves at the house. Like he's one of the guys that was in the house with the mom and the son, or the alleged mom and son. So what is that all about? It's weird, isn't it? It's weird stuff. Really, really weird. Yeah, see, that's kind of like, was she trying to go in the house when she got hurt? Was she trying to get away? Right? Like, that's what you would do. If for some reason you went outside for something and then you realized there was someone in and you turned to run toward your door, right? Was it a white van or a Range Rover? The traffic stop was a Range Rover. The white van was a part of the house. Two different locations. The whole thing is weird, starting with the scripted statements from the family. They even use statements from the movie Silence of the Lambs. It's just so weird. Jen Coffindoffer showed pictures of last night's suspect cuffed in the car. He has a mustache, very sharp pointed nose. Yeah, I showed that picture at the beginning of my live. Let's see. We'll take the pretty picture down. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And I will put back up the picture of the person who is not arrested. He is detained. This man was taken into custody last night, 2 miles from Nancy's house. There's another part of this story too. Apparently, the house is owned by, is it the district attorney? Do I have that right? Or, y'all tell me. I can't remember. Let me see if Gemini has that information. Whoops. Oh, my computer got hot. I'm not going to be able to type right now. When it gets hot, it doesn't let me type. Yeah, it's doing that weird thing. Okay. Deleted, it freaks me out. One of my best employees was a sergeant with the police department. When he came in, you said, hey, don't be sad about that guy. He was under investigation for harming his own children. Yeah, had y'all heard that information about the district attorney or the state? Maybe it's the state district attorney. I'm kind of thinking maybe it's the state district attorney. I'll look that up and have that the next time I go live. I think it's actually the state attorney. It's his house. The man where they executed the warrant last night is owned by a state official. Now, that doesn't mean the state official is the one who was the focus of the arrest or the search warrant. It could be that it was just a rental, that these 4 people were renting the house, correct? Well, see, Karen, that is a very good point. Karen brings up a really good point. She says, if they arrest, he could get a lawyer and stop talking. Okay, now then, that's what I thought happened with Carlos, okay? So with Carlos, he gets released a couple hours later, and he comes out, his stepmother-in-law, yeah, his mother-in-law, and he both said they didn't have a warrant. They knocked the door in. They didn't read me my rights. Like, he had all these like legal arguments against the police, right? He gets released a couple hours later, and I thought, oh, okay, that's why they released him, because, fruit from the forbidden tree, right? If they violated these protections, then any information they get from him while he's being questioned is not going to be admissible in court. But then later on, he comes back and they did in fact have a warrant. So I was wrong about that. Thank you, Karen. I knew you would have the accurate information. Baird Green is the assistant deputy of the district attorney. So the house is owned by him. That does not mean that that is Baird Green living in the house. It could be a rental. He could be, these 4 people could have come in with the big plan of, we're going to do this Hollywood blockbuster type of kidnapping. We're going to get paid off in Bitcoin. We're going to retire to, the south of France, buy an island, and nobody will ever know who we were, which is all Hollywood. Bitcoin, regardless of what you hear, FBI absolutely can trace that digital path of that large sum of money easily. People aren't moving around that kind of money, right? So it's possible. Is it likely? I don't know. They could have had that plan. So we need a rental in that neighborhood. So when we take her, we have a safe place to store her while we're waiting on our Bitcoin to come in. Like, I don't know. Weirder things have happened, I suppose. It's an Airbnb. There we go, Karen. Thank you. Is it verified Airbnb? Like, it to be true? Because can you imagine if that's an Airbnb and you get swatted and your picture put on Fox News and you get hauled into jail and you were just like, hey man, I was just hiking the desert for 2 days. I just rented this for a couple of days. Why are you taking me into custody? That is scary. It appears he owns multiple houses in that area. You don't have to talk to law enforcement without an attorney, even if not arrested. 100%. Absolutely, Nona. What does Scott Rice say? Lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. Don't say anything. Don't ever, even doesn't matter how innocent or guilty you are, don't say anything. It is crazy they were so close to her house. The whole story is crazy. The whole story. So the neighbors claim it's an Airbnb. I wonder how long they were there renting it. Two weeks at an Airbnb is a pretty hefty bill. Wow. That's wild to think about, isn't it? Okay. You guys are awesome. Bruce Rivers' tagline, stop self-snitching. That's a great one too. I got the Scott Rice cup. Lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. It's a good one. Okay. So things are weird. However, not hopeless. JLR, things are not hopeless, dude. Keep the faith, because so far, these people, one of these people, they may still be in they may be still detained, and they can keep them for 48 hours, JLR. So charges may be coming. We don't know. We'll wait it out and we'll see, correct? So I chose this visual. Yes, it's the rabbit hole known as the Nancy Gutthrie case. Things are pretty wild and moving quickly. And to me, it mimicked the streets of Tucson last night as everybody was trying desperately to find the SWAT action. And so I hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day. Thank you guys for being here this morning and letting me give my opinion on this circus. And I'm praying that this poor woman is found safe and that these kidnappers did, in fact, plan ahead, have her medication, feeding her, giving her, a cool place to rest, air conditioning and such. And that when she is found, she is located, that she will be healthy and happy, and she will get to tell her story on her daughter's TV station. All right. Okay. Thanks for being here, you guys. And of course, I did a song.
Lost in the Arizona darkness, where the night envelops truth sublime. No searchlight cuts the velvet black, no rescue comes in time. She become the hush between the Joshua trees, the cold that settles after the heat dies. One more lost song on the windswept plain, under endless unforgiving skies. I dreamed the road kept going after the map ended. Just gravel turning into into black water. You were walking ahead, but every time I called your name, the sound bent wrong came back as